Welcome to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm Alicia Jay, and I am joined by the fierce and fabulous hosts of Attacking Third, Lisa Carlin and Darian Jenkins. Thank you so much for being here. Literally, this is, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's our first live YouTube show. So we've been live on CBS Sports
Oh,
Network, but it's our first live YouTube show.
Wow.
Yeah, so
we're
thank
honored.
you for being here.
Honored. Yeah, thanks for having us. This is so fun. I mean, I love We Need to Talk. I'm always watching it. So thanks for having
Oh,
us.
thank you. Thank you. Well, what a first show to have. We're going to get into all things about the U.S. gold medal that we just got. And it was just an amazing match. So we're going to get into all things USWNT and that gold medal that they just secured. But first, I just have to remind you, subscribe. Like, we love having you here. We love talking with you every single week. But here are all the ways that you can connect with both Ashley and I, who's usually the host with me, but she had a lot of other things to attend to with USA basketball today. But, tap in with us in any way that you can. Subscribe, like, share. We love all the comments that you have. We love interacting with you. And then, if you just like to listen and don't necessarily like to watch, I don't know why you wouldn't want to see our pretty faces, but if you just like to listen, definitely go on your podcast platform, your favorite one, and we're there too. And you can scan this QR code and get all of the information that you need to listen, watch, do all the things with We Need to Talk Now. So definitely tap in. We're here. We're really excited to talk live about this match. It was so good. I was telling Darian before we got on here that I would be like that mother if I'm watching my child play in this game that is just pacing up and down because I was doing it in my apartment, right? So literally, it was just such an electric crazy game to watch, and this whole entire Olympic run definitely has been that as well. But what are, Darian, we'll start with you, your initial thoughts on this gold medal win for the USWNT?
It's history making. It marks a new era. This is the most diverse team we've ever seen. I was just saying on Attacking Third, imagine the kids. I mean, if I was a kid and I looked at this team and I could see myself in these players, see myself in a Mallory Swanson scoring this goal, that all the top goal scorers on the US notching up 10 out of 12. That just does my heart so good. I'm excited for the future of this team, but I'm so happy for Emma Hayes and these players. It's been a long time coming, and they overcame so much coming into this match and just shut everybody up.
Yep.
And they fully deserve this gold. They prove why the US is still the best.
The U.S. shut everyone up, Darian, including us.
Including us. We all had our doubts. Yeah.
We had our doubts. It's hard. It is really hard to be a top team that is always number one in the top 3 of the FIFA rankings, winning gold, winning World Cups, and to fall off the top of the mountain and get back there with a brand new head coach that hasn't had a lot of runway time with this group before heading to a major Olympics. And the expectations are incredibly high. The pressure is on these players. And even after the first 3 group stage matches, there was still a lot of question marks. Why aren't they rotating players? What is the point of having these players go into extra time and play all these extra minutes without subs? And what's going to happen? Are the other teams going to beat us? And you could tell that there is a sense of family and there is trust amongst the group between Emma Hayes and all of the players to know that we're going to follow our coach and we're going to listen to her tactical game plan and we're going to adjust well. And we're going to continue to play games 90 plus minutes on our legs and stick to the game plan and get the job done. And they did it. They got gold. It was great.
Man, they certainly did it. And going back to Emma Hayes, a lot of people had a problem with when she said she wanted this team to suffer, right? And not making those adjustments with players and just having, that team continue to play and continue to play. But there was an adjustment going into this game. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. What did you think about that substitution that she made going into this game and the impact that it had on this gold medal match?
I can go first. Yeah, Lavelle sitting out. That is a big loss for any team that she plays on. We always joke about the girl can come in for 10 minutes and flip the game around because she's so crazy on the ball. Her creativity, there's not a player that matches her, in my opinion. Her vision, the texture she can put on a pass, her unpredictability is so useful for the US, but she's often injured, sadly. I have been there as a player. It sucks when you just get knocked. You have the same repeat injury over and over again. She's rocking the leg sleeve. So Corbin Albert comes in, who for me is more of a, you know exactly what you're going to get from Corbin Albert. She's going to show up defensively. She has a crazy engine. She's going to be all over the pitch. She can take shots from distance. She has a goal in this tournament against Australia. So I think it was a good change up, especially knowing that Brazil is going to come out hard. They sent 5 numbers forward. They were going really hard into the attack, and she has such a good defensive presence, the way that she covers. So to me, this change made sense if you do have to take Lavelle out, but it still caused a lot of questions in the attack, in my opinion. What do you think, Lise?
Knowing that Lavelle couldn't go a full 90, I understand where this decision comes from, because if the US end up going into extra time, going into penalties, you want Lavelle on at the end of the match, especially if we're going into penalties. So I understand that there's a sense of like the long game that Emma Hayes is trying to play, but attacking wise, without Lavelle in there, it changes everything in terms of you lose a lack of a creativity spark or a player that can create chances out of nothing. But it also opens up different spaces without Lavelle on the pitch and occupying them, which creates a little bit of a gap between the front line and the midfield line for the US, which Swanson can pop into. Haran has a little bit more freedom to occupy that and go higher, but it's not what they're used to, right? They're used to having Lavelle there. So there was a bit of an adjustment period, especially in the first half for the US, to try to figure out how we're going to connect with our front line and how our midfield is going to dictate and control this game without Lavelle in there, just because it looks different. However, Corbin's ability defensively to sit in those pockets and find those gaps works well. And Haran being higher up the field, I like that better than when she's deeper. So it was a domino effect that ultimately paid off for the US. I mean, we say that now, of course, because they won. But I think if the scoreline was different come the 60th minute, come the 75th, come the 80th, I think we would have seen Lavelle on a lot earlier to make a difference for Emma Hayes.
Yeah, I personally just wasn't really phased by it just because I've seen like how intentional Emma Hayes is, you know? And I was just like, if she's doing it, I'm okay with it. Like I respect her so much. We're definitely gonna get we're definitely gonna get into more about her, but I just her coaching, I didn't question it for a minute because I was like, Emma know what she's doing. She's good. She's got it, she's got it on lock. And we can obviously say that because they won the gold. But one thing that I was very baffled about during the match was the way that Brazil changed it up at the half. You know, during the first, they were like really, they had a lot of frenzied play. And I felt like they were capitalizing off of the kind of like the fatigue that we had at some
Yeah.
points, which, you know, is actually smart when you know that we are fatigued, right? But then when they went into the half, they just like changed it up. I almost felt like they slowed it down in a way. And I did not understand that. How do you think that that impacted the game for them and them, you know, losing out on the gold?
I think they just ran out of steam. Their game plan in the first half was brilliant. Come out hard, go into a 3-2-5. You look at some pictures, some stills from the first half. There were more Brazilian shirts in the US backline than defenders for the US. It was madness. It caused chaos. They did well creating 2v1s against the outside backs of Dunn. Well, sometimes Dunn, if she was there, she was high a lot of the time against Davidson and Fox. And they created scoring opportunities for it. I mean, in the 15th minute, they had a goal. Ludmila put a goal in. She was offside, but it was a really good buildup. I think it kind of shocked us all that they really did come out that hard. But you're right, in the second half, I think they tried to keep doing it, but it's exhausting to have transition spaces like that. And knowing the US is kind of waiting, just waiting for their moments to pick you apart and send balls forward, it didn't work in their favor. They needed to go into what they were doing against Spain, which was kind of a 4-4-2, and try to lock the US out and be a little bit more organized defensively and in the midfield. But they kept rocking with that 3-2-5, and it didn't pan out for them.
And the US adjusted heading into the second half, because in the first 45, Brazil found success in the wide flank, specifically Yasmin and Ludmila down the left flank, combining, getting in behind, and that's how the chances came for Brazil. In the second half, Emma Hayes dropped Trinity Rodman much deeper, and she was marking Yasmin, who was a wingback. So it was Yasmin's job for Brazil to defend against Rodman, but also get forward and contribute in the attack. And Rodman's responsibility really was now to limit Yasmin's touches on the balls, her ability to create from those wide areas. There was also an injury to Brazil in the opening 5 minutes of this second half. I believe it was Yaya who got stretchered off the pitch, which changes the flow and the momentum at that point, because you're not expecting a change. You've just gotten started in the second half. And that was a moment where the US realized, okay, we can capitalize on this change, where Brazil is now trying to get into a rhythm with some different players on the pitch. And Yaya, who had been controlling a lot of the midfield of what Brazil was trying to do and organizing, it shifted things, and the US capitalized, and Rodman defended well, and Brazil ran out of steam ultimately.
Yeah, they definitely did. And like, I'm excited that the US won the gold, but it was hard to watch a little bit because I was just like, gosh, it felt like they unraveled in a lot of different ways. And not to say that we didn't do our thing though, because we absolutely did. There were so many players that were instrumental in this, but I just have to shout out Alyssa Naeher. I mean, what? You literally saved the US, like time and time again, right? There were so many people that had things to say. You see Alex Morgan, Alyssa Naeher, you were out of this world. Sam Kerr, all the flowers, Alyssa Naeher for president. Come on now. All these amazing comments that were so due to her. Alyssa Naeher is actually the first goalkeeper in women's soccer history with a shutout in a World Cup and an Olympic final, which is huge. And every single time, I mean, they were just some phenomenal, just it almost seems like your body can't do what she does to save us from getting these goals scored on us. I'm going to start with you, Lisa. Like, what are your thoughts on Alyssa? And like, is she literally like the greatest goalkeeper in USWNT history?
Ooh,
Oh,
I mean,
that is a
that's
great
tough.
question. I don't think she's been tested and put through adversity the same way that other goalkeepers have, which makes her a different beast of a goalkeeper, because she's been doubted and people have said she shouldn't be the starter. And there have been moments where Alyssa Naeher has taken a lot of crap for what she's done in goal, and she doesn't really let that phase her. And the way that the US is being tested now, their defense isn't constant shots on target. It isn't Alyssa Naeher isn't on the ball that much. She's not that much a part of the build out when US is in possession. But the moments that the team calls on Naeher, she shows up. And there is no doubt in her mind or any of the US defenders' minds that she's not going to make an incredible save, get a little tippy toenail on it, or outstretch her palm and just completely parry the ball away when it's going against the grain of her body and the movement of her. One of those tweets that popped up, I believe it was Nico Cantor saying, hey, what's stronger than a triple espresso? Alyssa Naeher's wrist. Absolutely. And that's the type of goalkeeper you need to have. Someone that is going to come up so big and strong and powerful and confident in the 1-2 moments that are called upon them in the stretch of a 90-minute game and make those saves. So when you got triple espresso at the front and a brick wall with ice in her veins at the back for the US, it's looking pretty good.
I mean, I literally can't say enough. Like, I'm just thinking about all the saves that she had in that match and just how I don't know. My body just hurts watching her twist and turn and do all of those things to get it. And like you said, her wrist, the strength of her wrist. Come on now. But we have to talk about Mallory Swanson. I mean, she had the lone goal in the match, but that doesn't people don't understand when they see like 1-0. They're like, oh, it was only one. It's like there's a lot that goes into that one goal that you get. A lot of like they said, suffering to push through to even get to that goal. What can we say about her and her coming back from that injury, right? She had so much fortitude to come back from that injury and perform in this game and get that gold medal. Darian, what are your thoughts on Mallory and her scoring that goal and where and her impact that she had on this overall Olympic Games?
We were talking about this on A3 and how if she were at the World Cup, I think the US would have looked completely different. She is a player that can change the entire team with her impact, regardless of where she's playing on the field. She brings so much to the game. And for her to overcome everything that happened with her knee, not only that, it's mentally so difficult to come back into the game at that high of a level and be able to perform and get over the pressure that comes from being the star of the national team. She did it with such grace, such humility, and just kept to her game. She is one of the most underrated passers, in my opinion, one of the most underrated technical players. And I think she showed this tournament exactly why she is that girl. And for her to have the most goals for an assist and really lead this team was so impressive. And she deserves all of her flowers because she's such, even though we're talking about her, I think she's still such an understated player that goes a little bit under the radar of all the technical things that she really does in a game and how she's able to read it. So I'm so hyped that she got that goal because she fully deserves all of the praise she's getting.
Mallory Swanson's goal today in the gold medal match was 490 days since her patellar injury that took her out of the World Cup last year. And her ability to create and be so technical, I think she is the top technical player on this U.S. women's national team roster right now. She wants the ball in those tight pockets. She wants to go at defenders, split them 1v1. And she's so unselfish in her final pass and knowing exactly where her teammates are to set them up for success. The stats, of course, her scoring goals, but it's more the assist she gets or the hockey assist or the run that she does near post to draw the defender and open up the gap for the runner in behind her. So many of these off the ball things from Swanson that tend to go unnoticed by the naked eye are so impressive from her. And she has not missed a beat from 3 years ago when she was playing or 5 years ago, or even when she was 17 and made her international Olympic debut.
Well, she's definitely, I mean, obviously we got the gold, right? With the gold, but she's part of a trio that we all know and love called Triple Espresso. First of all, somebody needs to come in and give them an amazing deal to do some type of coffee espresso thing. Like, if you haven't done it already, y'all need to do it.
Nespresso needs to hook them up. They're going to be the face of Nespresso products.
Absolutely. I mean, I would buy all the products.
Me too.
Like, do some kind of triple espresso thing. I got my machine right here. We can make it
happen.
But, yeah. But man, their performance obviously was stellar. They had to dig deep to do everything that they did. You want to talk about a trio that we haven't seen in a really long time, I would say, from the USWNT. Like, and obviously it was one of the reasons why we got gold. Where does it rank historically amongst like the front three of other teams in Olympic history, in USWNT Olympic history? I would say, Lisa, let's start off with you because you look like it's a little conundrum there.
Yeah, that is a conundrum. It's different because these three players, Trinity Rodman, Mallory Swanson, and Sophia Smith, are all around the same age. Trinity Rodman's 22, Mallory Swanson is 26, and Sophia Smith, her birthday is actually today. She turned 24. So they have been able to go through this experience a little bit more connected because they have been going through the motions together, right? Getting their first initial caps together, being at their first international tournaments together, specifically Sophia Smith and Trinity Rodman. So they've had chances to grow as professionals together, which gives you a little bit of a different perspective when you call them the Triple Espresso, because there's not one quote veteran in this group age-wise. I mean, Mallory Swanson getting 100 caps today, she has experience, but they're all kind of on the same page and they have a really good understanding of each other, that it's a different trio than we've ever seen before because we also get them for years to come, right? It's not like this is the last international tournament for any one of them. They're at the beginning of their international careers and they're just going to continue to get better and grow together, having different dynamics. And the game is asking different things of the U.S. forwards now than they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, of what the front line was looking for. Rodman, Smith, Swanson, they're technical. They want to play together. They want to combine well. And it's almost like a 3-man weave up top between the three of them to get in behind. I want to know what Darian thinks, though. Is this the best trio?
What did you think I was going to say? Number one. Girl, I think this is the best trio we've seen because they are all around the same age. And we're going to see these three players grow together for years to come. It's not like, as Lisa said, a player's kind of on the cusp, waiting for somebody to come in and kind of take over that position. These players have that. And I think they're going to keep pushing each other to be better and better. I actually think Mallory Swanson is going to be the one to push everybody to get better and better. But they ask so many different things. Mallory Swanson, to me, is the aficionado. She's going to thread balls through. She's going to drop a little deeper. She's can play like a midfielder almost. Rodman, let the girl go 1v1. Let her create. Let her go beast mode. Let her do the trin spin. And Sophia Smith, let her body people. Let her finish. I think they're not the classic players that we used to think of as, stereotypical winger, stereotypical number 9. They're just bringing so much more to the table because the game has changed so much, and they're at the precipice of that. They're those players that are changing the game, that are asking different things of defenses, and inspiring so many other players to change their game. So for me, they're easily number 1 just because of what the game has asked of them, and they've come out on top.
Definitely on top. And I mean, even going into this, like people had so many questions about what this team was going to do, right? And Lisa, you said like it's kind of scary because this is the first time that they're doing this together, and we're going to be seeing this for years to come. And it's so incredibly scary. But this specific performance, how would you rate it amongst other Olympic performances? I mean, this is literally 10 games in, literally 10 games in, or 10 matches in, I should say. And they have the gold. So like amongst other performances, how does this stack up?
So this performance by the US is different than a lot of other performances because they didn't dominate everything throughout this tournament. They didn't. They were forced to problem solve. There was a lot of questions asked of this US side. How are they going to break down a low block? How are they going to break through Brazil's high press? How are they going to come back from conceding a goal against any opposition in this tournament? When you think back to previous gold medals that the US had won, they dominated. They rolled through the group stage, not conceding any, finishing games in regulation, not going into extra time. So it asked different questions. But the fact that this was only Emma Hayes' 10th game, and prior to the Olympics, the front three of Swanson, Rodman, and Smith had only started 2 matches together in the front line. The final 2 games before they went to Paris means that they were able to find success and a gold medal without experience, doing everything on the fly. So it's almost like we're doing like the point system in gymnastics for the Olympics right now. I'm so into the Olympics that you have to rate the difficulty level against the execution level. And the difficulty level for this group in the Olympics is so much higher than previous Olympics. So they get more points for that, despite maybe the execution not being as dominant as previous Olympics. What do you think, Darian?
That was a really good way to put that. That was a very good way to put that. Yeah, I think because the US didn't have the same amount of games, the same difficulty of games, that was a big question for us. Is we're not playing teams, the US isn't playing teams that are really challenging the US that in ways that teams in the Olympics are going to challenge the US. So coming into this and not knowing how the US is going to handle a really good transitional team, a lot of speed, an equally physical team, a team that's more technical than the US. How are they going to be able to problem solve? The fact that they were able to do that and quote unquote suffer as much as they did and still come out on top just shows the tenacity of this team. And I think this tournament was so much more difficult because the game has changed, it's elevated, it's just gotten so much better on a global level. There's more opportunity for women to get into this sport at a young age. So other federations are challenging the US more, where the US isn't as dominant as they used to be. So to prove that they can still come out on top and play in extra time and numerous matches and then still come out to a final and get it done within 90 minutes, I think this ranks pretty high for me on the difficulty level for the US.
And they didn't have to go into penalties for any of that.
Yeah, bless.
Which is great.
Even though I love penalties, but just for the legs.
Yeah, I was going to say the legs were already tired,
already rubber.
So, yeah, so thank God that we didn't have to go into those penalties. But when I think about what they accomplished in this short amount of time, and especially with the expectation coming in, I couldn't agree more that this team is just phenomenal on every level. And the orchestrator of it all is Emma Hayes. Okay. I mean, we need to give her like a round of applause because she came in here, had a bunch of people that were questioning what she was doing from the start. You know, the rosters, from the rosters that she picked to just even like quotes like her saying suffering, like people always had something to say about what she was doing. But when you look at how methodical she really was and the way that she built this team in a very, very short amount of time and then going just 10 matches to getting the gold, it's just phenomenal. I mean, how do you think that Emma Hayes stacks up in the coaches line? I know that's a really, really hard question to answer. And then what does this mean for our future? I mean, you get the gold on the first time in the fashion that you did. Like, what does it mean for our future as a coach? We'll start with you, Darian.
Oh
Because I
man,
know you want to answer this. I
if
see
the
it.
pressure wasn't already on Emma Hayes, which she said, God, Americans need to chill. It's the freaking Olympics. Teams are better. There was still the expectation that the US has to come out with gold. Now that they did, the pressure is going to be extraordinary, but I think we have the best coach possible in place to handle it and navigate the US through it. I think it says so much just about her ability to come in with the lack of time she had with this team, and her trust. And shout out to Twyla Kilgore for testing this team, building chemistry before Hayes was able to come in. Just shows what a great coach she is. And I think the future, I mean, in Emma Hayes, we trust. I think she's going to do immense things, especially with this young team where she can really make it herself. She can dictate the style. She's kind of let go of the formality that US soccer has always had, especially engaging with public and how she interacts with players. She doesn't take a lot of shit from players. She doesn't take a lot of it from anybody. And I love that. I think we've needed that for such a long time. And it's so fun to have that, especially in women's sports. You see that on the men's side a lot, but in the women's game, and I think it's just going to keep elevating the US and not only the players and herself as a coach, but US Federation and how players are able to get into US soccer and just soccer in general in the United States.
Hayes isn't afraid to make decisions that are not favorable by the public, by the media, by anyone. She is confident in her decision making. And that started when she left off Alex Morgan from this Olympic roster. That was a huge statement from Emma Hayes. In the statement to me said, I don't care what happened in the past. I don't care what you think should happen. I don't care if you're the face of anything. We need to take the best 18 players right now who can compete. There are so many like, hey, get fit in 10 days or 100-day things. Emma Hayes needs to write a book, win gold in 10 matches, because she did it. She found the cheat code to do the near impossible with a group that had just failed out of a World Cup, had a ton of new players, not a lot of veterans on this group, right? Alyssa Naeher, Crystal Dunn, Lindsay Horan, Rose Lavelle, the most capped players. Otherwise, you're into single digits or into the teens of players like Sam Coffey, Corbin Albert, Jenna Neiswanger, Naomi Girma, who has such little experience at the international level. She did that now. It is a new chapter for US soccer and for Emma Hayes because she has time now to incorporate more things into this group. It doesn't have to be so bare bones as to how to get this group to a podium at the end of a really quick tournament with only 4 matches and 2 international windows leading up to it. She has so much time now. So I think we're going to see something different from Emma Hayes to come. There are October-friendly set for U.S. soccer and U.S. women's national team that is going to be a chance for Emma Hayes to try different things, to throw new players in there, because she has a little bit more of a runway now to form and mold this team and this group exactly how she wants them. It doesn't have to be a quick fix ahead of a major international tournament. But hey, the quick fix worked and they got gold.
I will say Hayes ranks, to answer your question, Hayes ranks number 1 for me for coaches because she did so much with having so much less. And she's not afraid to hurt your feelings. She's not afraid to make those hard decisions. And it's very refreshing to see. So she's number 1 for me.
She's also the biggest fangirl, too.
Yeah.
She's like, I love America and I want to do well.
She's an honorary American.
Yeah, she
already.
she's so
Absolutely.
proud of it. She's so proud of the job that she has, which is really cool. And I think her partnership with her coaching staff and even the relationship with the players, the little social things that were coming out throughout this tournament where she's talking to Trinity Rodman and Sophia Smith, and she's like, oh, you guys don't have your nails done? Like, I thought it would be a cool treat to bring in a technician, and we're all getting our nails done tomorrow. Having those bonding moments and a relationship outside of player coach with her team says a lot about Hayes's character.
Well, and to me, that's one of the reasons why I would classify her as an instant legend, period,
Mhm.
as a coach. But it is that balance. She said before the game that she just asked the players to play with joy. That was her number one thing coming into this match. And that balance as a coach is not something that I think we've widely seen. I would say in soccer, right? We haven't really seen that. But then also just like in women's sports in general, I feel like there's this kind of like, I don't know, transition going in where that balance is really important. We see it in mental health and other ways. And Emma Hayes has definitely shown us that like she is about that balanced life. Yes, I'm going to bring out the best in my players. And one of the ways that I'm going to do that is to have those moments with them or to ask them to have joy in a game. You saw them after the game celebrating together and the way that she was speaking with them, they were looking at her in just like sheer admiration because of, I would attribute that to balance. And I'm really excited about how that is happening in sports in general, especially for women. What are your guys' thoughts on how that balance probably affected? I think it was one of the main reasons why the team was so bought in, I should say, and literally was going to give it their all in every single way possible because that balance was there. Lisa, what do you think about that balance and what it really meant to this winning a gold
There
in
is
this fashion?
balance between that and understanding that these are people and humans, right? And respecting that they need to be put in the best position for them personally to succeed. And then you find success as a group. Before Emma Hayes came in, it was interim head coach Twyla Kilgore that emphasized so much of having bravery on the ball with these players and putting them into positions to succeed. I do think that ultimately stems from Emma Hayes, and she has continued to carry that torch, but it was Kilgore who initially brought that into this group. And Hayes has done such a good job of setting these players up for success and allowing them freedom on the ball. We talk about Mallory Swanson. She's only able to perform as well as we saw her perform in this Olympics because she knows she has the freedom and the confidence from her head coach to drop deeper into the pocket, to play a little bit lower, to get the ball in face up, to play those tricky passes that are going to break lines and thread the needle into her teammates. But it all comes from the element that Kilgore and then Hayes has laid as a foundation for this group to be themselves. And that's why we get to see the personality come through of Rodman, Smith, and Swanson on the Today Show saying, hey, call us Triple Espresso. That is because of Hayes and what she's laid.
No, absolutely. Hayes has I think it's her humor actually that's been the most refreshing thing. She's very dry, she's very English. And it's kind of a shakeup from what we're used to, like I said, with the formality that US soccer typically has. Homegirl don't care. She's
Mhm.
gonna be herself, she's gonna inspire everyone else to be themselves. And with that, she's also gonna be very real with you, which I think especially in soccer and professional soccer, there's always an element of, oh, this is work. I'm having to balance how you think about me personally. And I don't want to show anything about myself that's going to come into effect me playing. I think she fully embraces that. And you can see that in the way the players are playing, how they actually operate on the field, how they look off the field, the joy that they're having. Um, it's very refreshing to see. I think US has craved this for a really long time. And I keep saying this, but I cannot wait for the future and what's next for Emma Hayes and this team.
Man, it's just it really is like just an amazing thought. It's almost scary to think about how good. I mean, if this is the where we're setting the bar, like it's
If
about
this
to
is the
be,
start,
yeah.
imagine.
If this is a start, well, we definitely have talked about Emma. She definitely deserves every flower, but there are so many players on this team that deserve their flowers. And I just want to ask, it's a really, really hard question to answer, but who would be your player of this particular match? Not so much the whole Olympic run, but this match. We'll start with Lisa.
Oh, starting with me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
player of this specific match. I'm gonna go Alyssa Naeher. actually. I didn't know that until it came out of my mouth. But she did such a great job in this game to organize defensively and all the pressure that Brazil was throwing at this US back line to stay solid and to make those big saves. There was a couple, one at the end of the first half in the stoppage time, and then in the second half as well, where she gets a full palm on the ball and completely denies Brazil an opportunity. That is so important for a team, especially with such close margins, because the 3 knockout rounds for the US were all 1-goal margins, a 1-0 win. She had that tippy toe save in the match against Germany in the semifinals, and she continued to develop as being the number one, the clear number one in goal for US right now. So I'm going to go goalkeeper, Alyssa Naeher.
I'm gonna say that would be mine too.
It's
down.
mine 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on,
Yeah, Alyssa
Alyssa.
Naeher, she kept the team in the game. Brazil could have had 3-4 goals in the first half, and she came out in the second half. And the concentration you need as a goalkeeper, because you're not always engaged. I mean, they're the best kind of crazy, because not only are you not really involved in the game a lot of the time, when you are involved, you have to throw life and limb on the line. And she does it with such grace consistently. And she really showed out this game. So that was an easy choice for me, Alyssa Naeher.
And Naeher had saves that were all very different, right? She had shots from distance. She had parries that she had to dive across the goal.
Reaction saves.
Exactly. Reaction saves. And she also had crosses that were coming in from Brazil that she had to be brave and go out and get. It wasn't like it was constantly one type of attack that Brazil was throwing at them. And Naeher was ready for all of it.
Yeah, and it's also like when I think about a goalkeeper, it's the mental fortitude that you have to have through that entire match. Like you're not like in the thick of the actual play all the time, but you have to be aware of everything that is going on and be locked in. And I can't even it couldn't be me, because I would like look at a bird that was flying by or do whatever. Like I just would not be able to lock in like that. Right. But definitely she would be my player of the match. And also that tiptoe save that she had was my moment of the match as well. What would be your top moment of the match? We'll start with you, Darian.
Ooh, moment of the match is probably Swanson's goal. Because you could see it coming, and especially because in the first half, the US, I mean, the game was Brazil's in the first 45 minutes, and I was really looking forward to the adjustment the US was going to make. And the fact that it was, hey, Rodman drop a little lower. As soon as we pick up the ball, first pass goes forward. Look to expose them. And it did. It was poetic to watch. Albert pulled off, played a great ball through to Swanson. Smith let it go, being an intelligent player. Swanson doing this drill as a forward you've done 1,000 times in training, a 1v1 with the keeper on the outside of the 18. You take a touch inside, make the frame of the goal big, and she put it on frame and gives the US the gold. So that's my moment of the match for sure.
That's a good moment. It was poetry in motion watching Swanson and Smith and the through ball. That's mine, but I'm going to give a secondary one because I just want to come up with another one. The Trin spin in the first half that we got, it was so quintessential.
We've been waiting for it.
And we've been waiting for like that specific moment because she does it all the time in NWSL. And it's the first time it happened in this Olympics. She has the defender on her back. She's facing the US's own defensive half. She draws them towards the touch line and she just does a little pullback between the legs of the defender, spins around, and she's got acres of green space in front of her. So that's my secondary moment of the match.
No, that was definitely an amazing. Even on the broadcast, they were like, "No, we need to see that spin again." Yes, and I was with him. Well, I just want to thank you guys so much. I know that covering this Olympics has been not, obviously not like playing in one, but it's definitely not been any small feat. You guys have done an amazing job. Definitely been watching Attacking Third and getting all my updates from you. And I just want to thank you for taking the time out to come on our show. We Need to Talk Now. It's been an amazing conversation. So thank you so much. And we have the rest of the day to party and celebrate this win.
Yeah. Hey, everyone go get a drink. We got gold.
Listen.
Got gold. Yeah. Thanks
gold
for
for
having us. This was
this was fun. This was great.
YouTube Live. This was great. Hey, everyone.
Yes. No, I know. Hey, everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching each and every week on We Need to Talk Now. We will be back with another amazing reaction show to USA Women's Basketball. That's going to be on Sunday. So definitely, we're going to have another live show with Ashley and I. So be tuned into that, and we will see you on the next show.